Okay, today we're going to be making a comforting, super moist and tender coffee cake. This coffee cake is made up of a soft vanilla cake that has a layer of cinnamon flavored streusel running through the center of the cake as well as on the top as well, providing the perfect balance between a moist, light cake and a super crunchy topping, perfect with a cup of coffee or tea. So to start off, you want to preheat your oven to 180°C or 350°F conventional. Just remember to lower the temperature if you're using a convection oven with a fan, and lightly grease an 8 by 8 inch square cake tin. I'm using my homemade cake release to grease my tin today. And then you also want to line the bottom of the pan with some parchment paper. Now you just want to pop your cake tin aside for now, and next we're going to prepare the streusel filling and topping. So to a bowl you want to add in 150 grams or 3/4 of a cup of soft light brown sugar, 120 grams or 1 cup of plain all-purpose flour, and 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Give that a good mix so that everything is well combined and there aren't any big lumps. And then you want to add in 85 grams or 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. You then want to give that a good mix again until everything is well combined. You will have a crumble-like consistency now, which is what you want. And then you just want to pop it into the fridge to solidify a bit while we work on the cake batter. So next we're going to sift together our dry ingredients. So I've got 180 grams or 1.5 cups of plain all-purpose flour, 30 grams or 1/4 cup of cornstarch, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Give that a good mix with a whisk until it's well combined and set it aside for now. Now next in a large bowl you want to add in 56 grams or 1/4 cup of room temperature unsalted butter, 53 grams or 1/4 cup of unflavored vegetable oil, I use canola oil, and 150 grams or 3/4 of a cup of white granulated sugar. And then using a hand or stand mixer on a medium speed, you want to cream that together for 2 minutes until it's light and fluffy. Next you want to add in 2 large room temperature eggs one at a time while mixing on a low speed, and you want to mix well in between each addition, so about 10 seconds in between each egg. Okay, now once that's done, then next you want to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 225 grams or 1 cup of room temperature buttermilk. And again, mix that in on a low to medium speed until it's well combined. Now once that's all mixed in, you just want to get any batter off of your attachments because the rest of the mixing we're going to be doing by hand. Now to finish off the batter, you want to add in your pre-sifted dry ingredients from earlier and fold that in with a spatula until just combined. You don't want to overmix, so only mix until you can't see any big lumps or streaks of unmixed flour. So that is our batter all done, and now before we pour this into our cake tin, you want to grab your streusel topping from the fridge, and it should have solidified a bit by now, and what you want to do is break it up a bit. So I start off by doing this with a spoon, and then I just use my hands to kind of loosen it up and break up any large lumps. And you want to have somewhat of a kind of sandy texture but still have small lumps running throughout the streusel. Now once you've got this kind of consistency, then we are ready to start putting this cake together. So to start off, you want to pour half of the cake batter into the cake tin, and then you just want to gently spread it out with a spatula. It will be a relatively thin layer of batter, but just try and spread it out as evenly as you can. Now next you want to evenly sprinkle half of the streusel mixture over the top of the batter. You want the streusel layer to cover the cake batter entirely, so don't leave any gaps. And then once you're done, you can kind of carefully brush some of the streusel around with your fingers just to kind of make it a bit more evenly spread. Now once that's done, the remaining cake batter goes on top. Now the best way to do this without making a mess is to place spoonfuls of the batter around the center of the cake, but make sure that each spoonful is touching each other so there's no kind of big gaps in between. And then once all the batter is in, use your spatula to evenly spread it out without your spatula ever touching the streusel. Otherwise the streusel will stick to your spatula and then kind of get all mixed up with the batter. It can be a little tricky, but just try your best and it'll still taste incredible even if it doesn't look perfect. So once that top layer of cake batter is done, then to finish off, you want to evenly sprinkle the remaining streusel mixture all over the top of the cake. Again, you want the top to be completely covered, so try and fill in any gaps as best as you can. So once that's all done, you just want to drop your cake tin very lightly on the counter to remove any large air bubbles. And now this is going to go into the oven for 35 minutes or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs on it. So my cake is all done now. It smells so good. I can really smell that cinnamon coming through, and it has the most wonderful crunchy top to it. Now you just want to let this cool in the tin for about 20 minutes, and then you just want to run a thin knife around the edges to release the cake from the cake tin, and then you want to turn it out twice. So first you want to turn it out onto a wire rack. You can just use a plate for this as well. And then you want to turn it out again onto your serving plate so that it's the right side up. Today I'm just using my cake stand. Now while this cake continues to cool, we're going to go ahead and make a simple vanilla glaze to go over the top. This cake isn't overly sweet, so the vanilla glaze just adds a little bit of extra sweetness. So all you have to do is combine 63 grams or a half cup of powdered sugar, a quarter teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 tablespoon of milk. You can use heavy cream as well. And then you just want to mix that together to create your glaze. You should end up with this kind of consistency. Now once the cake has had a little bit more time to cool and it's kind of just slightly warm to the touch, not too hot, then you can go ahead and drizzle the vanilla glaze all over the top. I just like to use my spoon to do this. Now if you do prefer a slightly thicker glaze, then you can add a little more powdered sugar to the glaze. I probably could have done that a little bit neater, but once all the vanilla glaze is on the top, your coffee cake is ready to slice and serve. This coffee cake is the perfect no-fuss cake that goes perfectly with a cup of coffee, hence the name, or any hot drink for that matter. It's soft and moist, not too sweet, and that crunchy streusel topping just adds such a wonderful textural element to the cake. It's so good. I know I say this in almost every video, but this cake is so soft and just moist, and that streusel topping just adds such an incredible amount of flavor to the cake. And I really love the spice level of this cake. It's got like a really nice, kind of hit of cinnamon coming through, but without it being overpowering. It's like the perfect cake to have with a cup of tea, which is what I'm going to do right after this. So that is it for today, guys. If you do decide to give this coffee cake a go, then please do leave a review on my blog. It really helps my content out, and I absolutely love hearing from you guys. I'll see you in the next video.